To become a legend in football, you have to be willing and able to prove yourself time and time again. To be known as the best, you have to have the ability to produce the extraordinary, to shine above the rest. The greats of the game, they can drag their team to success almost single-handedly when the moment needs it. And they can do this consistently throughout their career, at every club, on every stage, and at any age. Some players can achieve this feat to become icons, whereas others, unfortunately, they suffer a blip in their career, and that's the players that we want to be looking at today. So if you're new here, welcome to the Bosman Viewing, and this is our breakdown and discussion of 10 football legends that flopped. Starting off our list, we have the non-flying Dutchman and his time with Inter, Dennis Bergkamp. Fresh from becoming a breakout star for his hometown club Ajax, where he had enormous success, winning Dutch Footballer of the Year 2 years in a row, he began to attract the attention of several top European clubs. With Bergkamp having a huge desire to play in Serie A, this led to his big money move to Inter Milan, which he joined along with his Ajax teammate Wim Jonk. Bergkamp endured a tough time adjusting to life in Italy and for Inter, with the highly organised defences and tactics of the league proving difficult to break down. This limited him to 7 league goals in his first season. There was one shining light during his difficult debut campaign, as he did help his side win silverware in Europe by playing a part in winning the UEFA Cup. However, his second season would prove to be even more challenging than the first, with multiple managerial changes at the club and Bergkamp struggling with injuries and fatigue. This led to him only scoring 5 goals in 26 appearances, and also having a fractured relationship with the fans and Italian press. The fans saw his style and shy persona as not being committed to the cause, whereas the Italian press created their own award for Poor Performance of the Week, and they named it the Bergkamp Award. Much of this was the reason behind Bergkamp and Inter choosing to sever ties, and he chose to join Arsenal in 1995 to start afresh, where it has to be said, he recovered pretty well from that point on. Next up, we have another Ajax legend to talk about for his time at Liverpool, Jari Litmanen. Having had over 7 years of success and titles in Amsterdam, he was snapped up by Louis van Gaal to join him at Barcelona. This move, however, was plagued by injuries, and after just 2 years, Litmanen was allowed to leave on a free transfer to try and kickstart his career again, and this was when he joined Liverpool. His signing was met with huge anticipation at the club, with then manager Gerard Houllier quoted as saying at the time, "We have signed a world-class player, and I believe he's one of the most exciting players we've ever had." Litmanen made a promising start to life at Anfield, but unfortunately suffered a broken wrist whilst out on international duty with Finland and missed out on being a part of any final during Liverpool's famous treble-winning season. The following season, much more was expected from Litmanen, but his injury problems continued and gradually got worse. It was reported that he could barely make it through training sessions due to the persistent ankle problems and struggled to play 90 minutes week in, week out. Litmanen also began to have a strained relationship with the coaching staff at the club and ultimately was allowed to leave in a free transfer after scoring 9 goals in 43 games over 1.5 seasons. At this point, Litmanen chose to go back to Ajax to try and rekindle some form, where he was met with a hero's welcome. Now for our next player to discuss is Les Sulks' struggles at Real Madrid, Nicolas Anelka. From the moment Anelka broke into the first team at Arsenal, he never looked back. Taking the Premier League by storm, he was a key player in helping Arsenal win the double in 97-98, and he also won the PFA Young Player of the Year the following season. However, at the end of that season, Anelka stated a desire to leave Arsenal, and to the dismay of club fans, he was able to push through a big money move to join Real Madrid. His struggles at Madrid though were almost immediate. Failing to score at his new club in his first 5 months was led to the Spanish press and Real Madrid's fans having plenty to say in the process. He would finally find the back of the net for his new club in a FIFA World Club Cup game, but he would continue to struggle to keep any type of consistent form. He would go on to be suspended by the club following a refusal to train and falling out with the manager. He was then brought back into the fold in the closing moments of the season to help his side clinch their 8th Champions League trophy. However, the writing was on the wall at that point and it was time to move on. PSG then swooped in to sign him and bring him back to the club where he started, to try and rebuild his reputation. Here we have an all-time great goalkeeper that represented Juventus for a short period, Edwin van der Sar. The legendary Dutch goalkeeper was seen as one of, if not the best keeper in Europe whilst he played for Ajax, being a major reason behind the club winning the Champions League in 1995. Many of the biggest clubs in world football were fighting for his signature in the late 90s, and in the end Juventus won that fight to sign Van der Sar, and in turn he became the first non-Italian goalkeeper to play for the club. He immediately became first choice keeper, performing well for the majority of his first season in Turin. However, during his second season with Juventus, Van der Sar committed several high-profile mistakes, during which the club exited the Coppa Italia and the Champions League during the early rounds. Some of the mistakes during this time were also being given as the reason behind the club continuing to miss out on Serie A success. Then, in 2001, Juventus broke the world record for a goalkeeper and signed Gigi Buffon from Parma to make him the new number one goalkeeper. At which point, Van der Sar made it clear he would not be willing to be second choice behind Buffon and was allowed to leave when he made a shock move to join Fulham. He cited the reasons to join Fulham was that he wanted to feel appreciated again, but it wouldn't take long for big clubs in Europe to take notice of Van der Sar. Next up, we have a legendary captain who had a very brief stint with Celtic, Roy Keane. A Premier League icon who started out as a box-to-box midfielder and evolved into the holding role during his many successful years at Manchester United, he was seen by many as one of the best midfielders of his generation and the most influential captains to ever play the game. However, Keane unexpectedly left Manchester United by mutual consent in November 2005 following multiple disagreements and bust-ups with management and staff. This led to him joining Celtic a month later, the team he had supported as a child. Although still trying to regain full fitness, many expected Keane to take the Scottish League by storm and control any game he took part in, but things couldn't have started any worse. During his debut for his new club, Celtic crashed out of the Scottish Cup after losing 2-1 to First Division side Clyde. He'd continue to be a part of the first team, but it became apparent that he was struggling to be the same player he was at Manchester United. Celtic would go on to win the Scottish League Cup and the league title that year, after which Keane announced his retirement from football on medical advice, resulting in those honours being his last as a professional player. Now we have iconic French striker and Ballon d'Or winner JeanPierre Papin to discuss his time at Bayern Munich. After a hugely successful spell at Marseille, where Papin won multiple league titles and his Ballon d'Or, he moved to Serie A to join Italian giants AC Milan for a then world record fee of around £10 million. His time in Italy could be described as mixed. The foreign player rule during that period required lots of player rotation in the squad, which made it difficult to gather any form, along with a few niggling injuries, meant he didn't showcase his full potential, and this prompted his move to Bayern Munich in 1994, where he was really expected to shine and be their star striker. Unfortunately, the injuries he struggled with before began to get much worse while he was in Germany, severely limiting his game time. All in all, he would spend 2 full seasons with Bayern Munich and was only able to score 6 goals in 40 appearances. For a one-time Ballon d'Or winner that previously cost a world record transfer fee, much more was expected from Papin at Bayern. At the end of his second season with the club, he was allowed to leave and he opted to go back to France, where he joined Bordeaux and quickly recaptured that goal-scoring touch. Next on the list, we have a tricky winger who had an unfortunate spell with Fiorentina, Andrei Kanchelskis. Having been an important player for Manchester United in the early 90s, helping them to multiple titles, a fallout with the manager Sir Alex Ferguson led to him being sold to Everton, becoming the record signing at the time. In many people's eyes, he actually improved at Everton, scoring 16 goals in his first season and helping them finish in the top 6. This form attracted the attention of a host of top teams in Europe, and Fiorentina stepped up to sign him in 1997. After signing a 3-year deal with the club, he was expected to make a big impact in Serie A for years to come, but it didn't quite go to plan. Almost immediately after joining, he was struck down by injuries, a combination of ankle and knee issues throughout his time with the club. During the moments he was able to play, he was also not afforded the space he was used to in the Premier League, with the defensive play in Serie A coming into effect. Overall, Kanchelskis ended up playing 26 games for Fiorentina and scoring 2 goals, before being shipped off to join Rangers, where he quickly became a fan's favourite again. A legend and cult hero with this entry, let's talk about Juan Sebastian Veron at Manchester United. From the moment Veron moved to Italy in 1996 to join Sampdoria, then later Parma and Lazio, it was clear he was a mercurial talent. A playmaker in midfield who could play deep or in attack, he could dictate the tempo of any game with his vision and technique. He enjoyed massive success at these clubs, winning domestic and European trophies, which prompted Manchester United to rush out and sign Veron in 2001 for an English transfer record at the time of around £28 million. Things started out well at his new club, with Veron scoring in 3 of Manchester United's first 4 games, and he was awarded Player of the Month for September. However, this success would be short-lived. As Veron struggled to adapt to the much faster pace of the Premier League, fatigue began to set in and his performances dropped off. Due to having much less time on the ball, he was unable to have the same sort of impact on games that he'd enjoyed in Italy. Veron's struggles to adapt, coupled with some minor injuries, led to some fans and media calling into question whether he was good enough to continue being selected for United. After 2 seasons in Manchester, Veron was allowed to leave when Chelsea came in to sign him. And maybe the less said about that time at Chelsea, the better. A second Ballon d'Or winner to make the list to discuss his time with AC Milan, Rivaldo. Having long established himself as one of the best players in world football at Barcelona, there was no doubting the impact that he could make at any club. Rivaldo was named FIFA World Player of the Year and won the Ballon d'Or in 1999, during which many successful years happened in Spain. After surprisingly being allowed to leave in 2002, AC Milan quickly jumped in to sign him and bring him to the San Siro. Joining an already star-studded side, Rivaldo was seen as the final piece of the puzzle to help Milan win another European Cup. Even though they were able to achieve this feat, it was clear for everyone to see that Rivaldo was having minimal impact on results. Time coupled with persistent knee problems were now affecting the way he played the game, and he no longer had the movement or speed he once had. Even though many trophies were won during his time at Milan, Rivaldo's performances were seen as a huge disappointment and he failed to live up to expectations. He was allowed to leave at the end of his second season, at which point he chose to move back to Brazil to join Cruzeiro in the hopes to get back to his best. And for our final entry, we're going to be using the word legend loosely here. It's Winston Bogard and his time spent at Chelsea. At points throughout his career, Bogard was seen as one of the most promising defenders in European football, having enjoyed success with both Ajax and Barcelona. Having recently won the La Liga and Copa del Rey with Barca, he was able to leave on a free transfer, at which point Chelsea stepped in to sign the defender. Upon signing, Bogard was able to negotiate a 4-year contract of a reported £45,000 per week, which was a massive amount of money back in 2000. However, 1 week after signing, then manager Gianluca Vialli was sacked, and his replacement Claudio Ranieri came in and he immediately deemed Bogard surplus to requirements. At this point, the 30-year-old defender decided there was no other clubs who would be willing to match his sizable wages, so he'd be happy to sit on the bench and see out his 4-year deal. Even though Chelsea tried to offload Bogard on multiple occasions, he refused to leave. He was demoted to reserves and made to train with the youth team or on his own. He ended up spending the full 4 years of his contract with Chelsea, playing a total of 12 games for the club. Having been condemned for his behaviour, Bogard spoke out at the time, quoted as saying, "I may be one of the worst buys in the history of the Premiership, but I don't care." Following his release at the end of his contract, Bogard retired from professional football. We hope you enjoyed the video. This is the Bosman viewing, and if you're new here, you should check out our other football videos on the channel. Is there a player you think we should have included in the list? Let us know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you could thumbs it up, that'd be great. Subscribe for more, and I'll see you on the next one.